everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this first impressions video of Necromunda Underhive Wars for the PlayStation 4. Yes, I was able to get working PlayStation 4 for this because my original one bricked. Thank you very much Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I digress. So this game is a combination of third-person shooter and turn-based strategy game. The best comparison would be to compare it to the games of the Valkyria Chronicles series, but we'll get into the gameplay momentarily. In the meantime, let's take a brief look at the Introductory Cinematic, because it's quite good actually.
The hive cities of Necromunda. Untold billions crammed within mountains of metal. Vast insect mounds of tireless industry amid the toxic wastes of their own manufacture. Inside the hive cities, every breath of air, every drop of water is recycled 1,000,000 times over. Every watt of power and each mouthful of food must be guarded against rival clans and outlaws. It is a place where only the strong can endure, and no one prospers. Except, of course, those at the very top. And yet, opportunity still exists for the gang bold enough to take it. In the foundation layers of the Underhive, all manner of treasures can still be found. Lost, forgotten, or abandoned in the dark. The only question is, who will get there first?
I feel that sets up the atmosphere for Necromunda quite perfectly actually. So we're going to take a brief look at the story mode. Starting off the story mode, again this is a first impressions, it's not a full in-depth review, I haven't completed the game yet. But from starting off the story mode, you play as a gang from House Escher. As we can see, the cinematic graphics are very nice and very detailed, and again, it's what you perfectly expect for something set in Necromunda itself. Yes, the script is completely unscripted. I know that's a contradiction, but who cares? It may be a bit rambly, who knows? Anyway, I digress. I feel that this game has captured the very aesthetic of Necromunda perfectly, in fact, and that's a very good sign from this developer. Gameplay-wise, again, as mentioned earlier, this is a combination of turn-based strategy game and third-person shooter, which, if you're not used to the games like, say, Valkyria Chronicles, you may initially have a bit of a hard time getting used to. But starting off, you have 2 point gauges in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen just under your health. One of which is for your movement, which is self-explanatory. These are your movement points, so you can only move so far a turn. You can't go over the entire map, which would be a bit unfair if you could, let's be bloody honest. The other gauge is for your action points. Now, action points will let you do things such as kneel, vault over objects, shoot your gun, reload your weapon, etc. And generally at this point in the game, you can only do 1 or 2 actions a turn. Like, for example, you can only really fire your gun once or twice. Twice if you're lucky, and that's generally only if you're using pistols. But moving on to the graphics of the game itself, we know how nice the cutscenes looked, but the in-game graphics are also quite nice, actually. Maybe not as polished as some of the newer games we're used to these days anyway, but they still do a very good job at conveying the very essence of the Underhive to you, which is only a good thing. Now, as you can see, this is one of the actions demonstrated, what I mentioned earlier, which you can actually jump down for a certain number of action points using a grappling hook system. That's one of the main things about this game, sorry to divert, but the multiple layers, or multiple levels rather. So each stage is not just one flat plane. You'll have multiple floors, like the second level, for example, has, I think it's about 7 floors in total, which basically means it's pretty much a game of, snakes and ladders, going up and down, constantly chasing your foes, which is pretty fun and chaotic. Now this game at this point in time, or at the very least the version I have, the review copy, it does contain a couple of bugs. 1 or 2 of them can be game-breaking, but from what the developers have said in the email when they sent the review copy, is that they're already working on fixes for these. They're aware of these bugs, so expect patches within the next couple of days. There are a couple of bugs that do get spotted in this particular video, which you'll see later on. Nothing major, but kind of like some minor annoyances. Like, for example, an enemy ganger can be stuck on a corner, for example, and just keep moving forward into that corner and not really do anything until they end their turn, which can be irritating, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And another bug that does show up in this game later is that of audio sync issues. This only actually happens in one cutscene that I've experienced so far, and it's not that big a deal, but it is a little bit irritating. But as I said, the developers are aware of these bugs, and they're presumably working on fixes for them. I would assume, if they're already aware of them, I would assume they'd be working on a fix. But anyway. Unlike, say, with Valkyria Chronicles, where you can, on your turn, take everyone's actions in sequence, so you can have one of your characters, then another, then another, then another, then another. It seems to be a you go, I go system. So, like, you'll move one character, then the enemy will move one character, then you'll move one character. But this isn't always the case. There are instances like, say, if you have more gangers than your enemy, you will get more turns consecutively. So if you have, like, say, 5 gangers and they have 1, it'll be your go, your go, your go, their go, your go, or something to that effect. So is this game actually any good? It's not bad. It's definitely one of the stronger 40k themed games I have played in recent years. There are a few things that do need a little bit of polish. Nothing major, just the aforementioned bugs need fixing, obviously. The only other major quibble I have with this game is when you use the skill to manually aim. Because that is one action skill. Instead of just shooting, you can just aim your character manually to get a pinpoint accurate shot, though aim shots do cost more action points. But from what I found, and this may just be the PlayStation 4 version, but I found that the controls in this regard are very slippery. Like, the analog stick feels like it's on ice, if that makes sense. So the cursor will be flying all over the place, and it's really hard to get that pinpoint shot. I don't know if that's intentional, because if it is intentional, I feel that's a bad design. But again, it could just be... This could be something that could be sorted out in sensitivity settings. I don't know. Again, this is a first impressions video, not a full in-depth review. Again, I've not completed this game yet. But one cool thing you can do in this game is that any gangers you kill, any opposing gangers you kill, you can loot their bodies. So if your opponent has, say, a las cannon, and you manage to kill them, you can steal their las cannon, and you can actually have that character equip it, as far as I can tell at least anyway. That's what seems to be implied. There are only 3 gangs you can choose from to play as, which are House Escher, House Goliath, and House Orlok. Presumably the other gangs, Vansar, Delak, and Cawdor, they'll come later as DLC. It's a bit... I'm not too happy about those 3 gangs being DLC only. I think people would have preferred it if, say... Well, at the very least, I know I would have preferred it if, say, you had all 6 of the house gangs at launch, Goliath, Escher, Orlok, Vansar, Delak, Cawdor. Have them all at launch, but have the Outland gangs, so things like, the Scavies, the Ratskins, the Pit Slaves, Redemptionists, etc. Have them as DLC, and I think people would have been fine with that. But restricting the main game to just 3 gangs, that just seems a bit... I don't want to say cash grabbing, because that's a bit harsh. It just seems... I don't know. You know what I mean, though. But... yeah, overall, this game is a pretty fun game. It can take a little bit of time to get used to the controls, the mechanics and all that, especially if you're not used to that particular type of gameplay. I know I'm pretty sure I've said that earlier, but screw it, I'm rambling, don't care. Oh, one other thing I do have an issue with is the map. The map is, I feel it's a little unclear as to where you're meant to be going. I mean, obviously your objectives are marked on the map, but in regards to where your gang positions are, you'll see your gangers on the map, but it's kind of hard to tell which way they are facing on the map. So it makes navigation a little awkward. But again, that's something that I assume can be easily fixed. So overall, give this game a go. It's definitely one of the stronger 40k related games that's come out in recent years. It's definitely better than, say, Inquisitor Martyr, which is more of a Diablo-style RPG. Despite the bugs that are in this version, it's one of the stronger 40k games we've had in recent years. You know, it's not going to be as good as Space Marine, because let's be honest, few 40k games are. It's not as good as Dawn of War, but it's definitely a strong contender. You know, if I had to give this, a medal system, gold being something like Space Marine or Dawn of War, Dark Crusade or something like that, this would get a high bronze, low silver, if that makes sense. It's definitely worth your time. If you get it, you're not going to be too disappointed, I feel. You're going to have a good time, is what I'm saying. You're going to have a good time regardless. So, what I'm going to do now is that as we come to the end of this particular level, we just got to kill this one ganger. I'm going to leave it with some pretty much just unnarrated gameplay footage, so you can see how badly I play the game. I don't claim to be an expert in this, I just, again, first impressions. I had no idea what the bloody hell I was doing at first. But anyway, I'm going to leave you some uninterrupted gameplay footage. You will see a cutscene for the second level, which unfortunately does suffer from the audio syncing glitch which I mentioned earlier. And again, you won't actually see me complete the second level, purely because the time limit on the PlayStation Share thing ran out. But anyway, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. As you can see, this is one of the bugs I mentioned earlier with the character getting stuck on the corner, which I did point out earlier.
creatures! Mora would never venture out this far without a map of the area.
Come on! The meeting place is just up ahead. Shame.
Never liked her anyway.
Whoa, whoa! We're with you!
No hard feelings?
Hell no. If Maren wanted to lead, she had to be strong enough. And she was weak. So we'll follow you, sister. So what's this all about? Why are we meeting on the way out of here? It's got to be big. Why risk it otherwise?
Big enough that Tess is more worried about the house matriarchs hearing about it. Big enough to risk getting into a fight with the slab punchers.
Ooh, so the biggest. It's gotta be loot, right? Ahoy!
Shut up, Kira.
Hey, lay off!
So, what's the deal, Tess?
Yeah. Why'd you drag us all the way out of house territory?
My gang, my rules. Spire took a big hit last night. Shock went right to the core. Feel them quakes on the way here? Something big got kicked loose. This isn't just lightning getting earthed. Whatever it is, it's making its own power now. And that means only one thing. Archaeotech. No one knows about this yet, and we're out here to keep it that way.
We'll be made for life! How are we getting there?
I know someone with the route down. They can— Watch out! scum-sucking Orlocks must have trailed us down here. Make them regret this ambush.
They blocked every way out!
Stop complaining and get to higher ground. From there, we'll work on finding us an exit. Good. Get some trophies and find out which gang they're from. We need to know what we're up against.
The black ash. Ugh, just what we need.
Slash that zipline, Kira. Cut him off. We'll need to check the terminals for a way out.
On it. But you need to take care of that wound test. Must be some stims around here somewhere. We can't afford to lose you. See ya, scum suckers!
Get those to the wounded. Follow me. There's a way out on the other side. This way! Hurry up, ladies!